Welcome to Reflections and to Canon Andrew White. We've had some anniversaries, some pleasant, some not pleasant. We'll start with the pleasant ones. It's St. Bartholomew's Day today.
St. Bartholomew's today, and St. Bartholomew the Greater has a priory in the city of London. There are two churches to St. Bartholomew. There's the Greater and the Lesser. And I always loved St. Bartholomew, not least because all of our family have Bartholomew as their third name. So I'm APB White, B for Bartholomew. My son is Josiah PB White.
You must come from a very posh family, Andrew, with three names, and four, in fact, with a surname.
Well, my other son has got 5 names.
Oh, my goodness me. Now, does he prefer one against the other?
He just goes with Jacob.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
Well, we only have sons, as you know, and I think we ran out of names by the end of them. We had 7 sons, and yeah, it's sometimes difficult to get a biblical name, isn't it?
Well, not if you look at the Hebrew names.
Well, that's it, but they don't like to be called Jehoshaphat.
Well, Yossi is on his birth certificate is Yoshiehu,
Oh,
which is the real name of Josiah.
Well, that's the good news about Bartholomew, but the bad news, of course, is we're remembering 25 years since 9/11. Wow, how's the time gone?
Yes, and I remember it's one of those dates where everybody says, where were you when you first heard about 9/11? And I remember clearly because I was in the basement of the cathedral at Coventry, and I was just about to get a plane to Israel. Well, I never did get that plane.
No, they stopped all flying, didn't they?
All flying. And 9/11 was a day which really did change the world. Certainly as regards my work, everything after 9/11 happened in the light of understanding 9/11. And all of our security and intelligence work, everything was in the light of 9/11. And it was a big time for us at Coventry. Coventry based on reconciliation and forgiveness. We immediately were faced with, how are we going to reconcile here? And from that day, we concentrated our efforts on engaging with the Islamic world, even though we didn't know then who had actually been responsible. We knew what group of people were being blamed, and nothing was ever the same after that terrible day. And I know amongst my many thousands of followers, there are those of my friends who say I was there on that day. they were either somewhere in New York, somewhere even in the Twin Towers. So it was a miracle that some of them survived.
I tell you who was there that has been in the news because of that. A past Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan
Williams. I
Yeah,
met him several times,
Oh, right.
but we didn't have a very good relationship.
Why was that?
Well, I was extremely conservative, and he was a wacky liberal,
Yes.
very, very liberal. And yet we were both fellows of the same college, Clare College, Cambridge. And so we had to have respect for each other.
Yeah. Cambridge is the other anomaly at the moment, isn't it? Our friend, sadly no longer with us, Jason Hardy, they clearly looked in the DEI playbook and appointed somebody that should never have been near any university, let alone Cambridge.
It's very difficult, and that appointment of a black English person to be a professor was a major, major thing. That kind of thing doesn't happen very often. Knowing his background.
Well, sadly, it's infected many universities, the infection of DEI, and it goes on a lot more than we would care to think. But back to New York and 9/11, a book was written by Rowan Williams at that time, and it was very strange. Some peculiar passages in that book trying to explain the feelings of the murderers and their motives. And it came out that he was saying, oh, well, you can't blame them. What else had they got to do, he said. That's strange, isn't it?
Well, that kind of language and position is so far from the whole nature of my work, because any reconciliation has to be based on truth. And even with the most radical reconciliation I did with evil people, the first thing we did was to talk about truth and listening to each other. Everybody had to listen. Barely listening is very painful.
The truth can be very painful. We get inundated, and that's probably the right term, in recent months with a phrase, that being Islam is a peaceful religion. Well, clearly it's not, Andrew.
Well, Islam may say itself that Islam means peace and the followers of the way of peace. And it might mean that in theory to the Islamic ear, but sadly it does not mean that to other ears.
And it's easy to look back with hindsight. The suffering was immense. The trauma, even with those that survived, will never leave them. And it was done in the name of their God. And when you get a nation a religion that takes things out of context in their scripture. You've got a very dangerous, potent mix of culture, of truth, if there is any in it.
I am still passionate about the fact that we have, as all the Abrahamic faiths, have got to learn to love each other and respect each other, but we don't naturally.
A lot of people are also pointing out to history, because the historicity of the Bible is brilliant. You've got non-Christian writers about the same time as the New Testament was written, confirming everything. But it's quite the reverse in Islam, isn't it?
You look at writers of the apocalyptic books, such as Enoch, and you see incredible things there. But sadly, yes, it is very different in Islamic writing and culture.
Would you go as far as to say that Islam is a false religion?
I would go as far as to say that Islam is not a religion of the way of peace, which it claims to be. And therefore that says what it is. If it's not a religion of shalom, salam, salah, then it is of the evil one.
Well, the British shores are being inundated, and the Spanish shores where we are here, with people that have one intention, and that is a caliphate. And the story now on the block is that they're sending them over to England on the rubber dinghies, specifically for changing the nature of Britain. And they have in many parts of Britain.
Yes, we can see where that has happened. And that is extremely painful. And those of us who are committed to real reconciliation work at it without any means of giving up. We are committed. We are not going to stop, because our God is the God of peace, come what may.
Is the answer both political and spiritual?
The two can't be separated. And the thing about Middle Eastern understanding of religion is there is no separation between religion and politics. And I think we have too often caused there to be an extreme reaction of one to the other. But no, there isn't.
Well, finally, Andrew, it's good to see you looking a lot better than in previous days. You've got another fight coming on. We need you back in the Middle East, don't we, really? And
Well, I need to be back there as well.
You've got to face the surgeon's knife in October again, haven't you?
Yes. I'm not giving up, though. I never have done, and I never will.
Well, listen, as an anaesthetist, you see firsthand what goes on. Do you see an operation in a bit more clarity or a bit more timidity, knowing the procedures?
I see it in reality. I love it. I'm not scared by it. And I know the extent of what good anesthetic and good pain control can do. But the key thing is, in all radical medicine, medicine must never become torture. I remember being taught that very early on in my career and my training. If medicine is ever becoming torture, then it must stop.
You mean there are procedures that people should not enter into because the outcome, the percentages.
And people go too far.
Mm. Well, listen, we're looking down now, but both of us have been under the surgeon's knife in recent years, and if it wasn't for the surgeons, we wouldn't be here.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't be here. So we need them, we love them, we respect them. But there's always a big but.
Well, listen, we're going to pray about you. We're going to pray about the Middle East. That's two massive subjects, isn't it?
Me and the Middle East, yes.
We'll see you very shortly. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Blessings, everybody, and Rodney. Ma salama, which means bye-bye.